Let's see if I can get this working. Is this thing on? Can you guys hear me okay? I don't know. Are we even here yet? Hello too, if you can hear me. Shadow Girl, Zaveth, Ray Louderbeck. Is there an echo? Is there? That's not good. Oh dear. Echo? There shouldn't be. Let me know if there is. But good evening to you, Shinobi, to Dell, to Stakaragord, Jock Cop. Good evening, buddy. Blamsmith. Lots of old friends. Really good to see you all. And yeah, Cosmic Synergy. Wow, there's a lot of people, and I'm really pleased to see everyone. It's been a long time since I've streamed. Took a bit of a pause. There was a whole thing, and I'm kind of super psyched. Which is kind of cool because yes, time zone appropriate greeting, tier 0, absolutely. Evening, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, I guess. So yeah, I'm kind of psyched because I've spent all day at the Bovington Tank Museum here in the UK, which is Europe's largest collection of tanks, which kind of explains this, right? Best job I ever had. So yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, so I'm wearing new Bovington merch. I'm shitting their stuff now. I don't know, whatever. But yes, so really pleased to have everyone back. Obviously, a lot to talk about because I basically haven't streamed in like 2.5 months now. So it's everything we need to talk about? Question mark. And of course, the big ticket item being the ship changes, which rah. There's a lot, right? There's a lot, but the most important thing on any stream right now would be just making sure that I have my Elvis juice topped up good and ready for the stream. So yeah, sorry YouTube, I'm gonna drink on stream. So yeah, demonetize me, fight me. But cheers, grab yourself a beer, whatever it is, your tipple of choice. Join me. Let's see off the weekend in style. For those that it is the end. For a sec, thought we were going full Monty. Stakari, no. I was considering doing an OF, where you have to pay me to keep my clothes on because nobody needs to see that, right? But that'll be cool. Jock, yes, absolutely. If you haven't been in years, they've developed a new hall. The entranceway is all new, lots of space. It was incredible. Saw the actual tank, the Fury tank. It's there, looking just like it does in the movies. Yeah, incredible. Got to stand in front of some really, really big tanks and got my nerd on big style. So yeah, crazy stuff. But thank you ever so much, everyone, for tuning in. I guess where we're going to start. Feet pics. No, 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 bad, bad. I guess where we're going to start. Is those ship changes because normally I give people a chance to kind of build up and get here, but loads of people in already. So let's do this. Let's switch over. Quick disclaimer: I deleted everything out of my OBS. So this is all brand new. Hopefully it's working fine, and it's going to be okay for you guys. But if you lose audio or something doesn't work, please, please, please let me know, because I've had to rebuild everything this weekend. So hopefully it's working. Bear with me if it's not. I will do my level best, as always, not to mute myself. Hello. Yes, Napo Complex. It was he and I that went to Bovington. Good evening, Ape. Good to see you, bud. Let's switch over and see what's going on with the ship changes. Interesting. It jumps to it and then does the transition. Right, I'm going to have to fix that. But it's okay. We'll get to that in the end. Some crazy ship changes by the looks of things. I kind of became aware that this was out not because I inhabit Spectrum, because I try not to. Spectrum gives you the dumb. But one of the things that I did look at or did see was lots and lots of videos claiming that everyone right now should sell their Reclaimer, I think was the one that I saw. So yeah, interesting stuff. So let's just take a look at what's changed. I'm going to try and keep things out of me. I know I'm in the center, but I'll move myself across when I get a chance. Let's see if I can do that now. What do you think? Can I move myself across now? Let's do that one. Oh, this is going to go well. And I don't know. That one. Yeah, I'm not even going to bother doing that. But yes. The big change, obviously, with the Redeemer is a reduction in its shield size. It's also, picked up a bunch more, and then it's downrated the turret size, which is kind of significant, to be honest with you. I'm just going to fade across. There we go. Ta-da! Hi. I mean, if you've watched this for a while, you'll know already that my feelings on the Redeemer are that the Redeemer's been overpowered for some time. It doesn't seem to know what it wants to be. It kind of wants to be a dropship, but it's gunned up massively. There's no reason to ever take a hoplite while this thing exists, because it can take the same amount of people. It's got so many more guns. Even if there's only one of you and you can't crew the other bits, it's still far and away that. So I've never liked it from the beginning for those reasons. However, I can see why people are knocked off. The 6 kind of makes sense, because then you've got the sectors. You got forward, aft, port, starboard, top, bottom. So now, I suppose you've got a little bit more in terms of being able to turn damage shields out of the line of fire, which would help if the Redeemer could turn at all. Seasons turn faster than that thing. So it's definitely taken a hit. It was never the most powerful combat ship to begin with. It's rough. The one thing I will say when this happens is this whole idea of selling stuff, right? If people are going to get upset by these changes and sell stuff, they probably shouldn't be buying ships anyway. They should probably hold off for a while, because it's madness to think that anything is going to stay the same at this point, right? People say, well, why does it change? No. Why did you think it wouldn't? Everything's going to change. There's always the ability to melt, but it does mean that when you buy it back at the higher price now, which is not good. I would just say people just need to kind of leave it for a little while. Jock Cop says, I'm sure people will have a rational and considered approach to changes. Yeah, it doesn't happen like that, does it? People have really thrown their toys out of the pram. Like I say, it's bad news. No one likes seeing their favourite ship, or a ship that they've ponied up an awful lot of cash for, take some damage, take some reduction in its ability, reduction in its capability, and get pummeled on a little bit more. So I understand that perspective. However, it is incredibly powerful as it was. We'll have to see how the changes work. I'm trying to read the chat as well as we go. I'm kind of a little bit out of practice, but it is what it is. I think the idea that any of this is going to change, because we've got a bunch of changes rolling in. They kind of homogenized everything with master modes. They made everything look the same. All the heavy fighters were kind of the same. All the light fighters were kind of the same. They're going to change all that, and we've got resource network coming in, which is going to be, I guess, a little part of this. We've got engineering coming in. We've got a lot of stuff that's going to happen. This stuff is going to change again. Whether it changes in the direction that people want it to change or not, you know what? Your guess is as good as mine. I genuinely don't know. But things are just going to keep changing. I think it's clear now that we've all had master modes. And I did try to hold off when master modes first came in. I think it is abundantly clear now with master modes that is also going to change. There is such discontent with it. I think it's going to be very much like the hover mode stuff when that came in a while back. If anyone remembers, you used to hover and then you used to tilt down and go forward, tilt back and go back. And they just bin that off and change it to something else. I think master modes won't get binned, but it will receive significant changes, even to the point where maybe it becomes very different to what we experience in the single player in Squadron 42. But yeah, that's it. Citizen Ninja says the Redeemer's handling will be improved along with the weapons nerf, but will it be better than it was at release? The handling already got nerfed too. Yeah, it ended up, like I said, turning like Seasons would outturn it. So that's not great. Matthew says, I don't think people so much care for nerfs, but more the role of a ship change. I don't think the Redeemer's ever been clear in its role. I think it's massively overgunned for a dropship. It was incredibly well armed and defended, and yet it could carry troops. So I think the Redeemer has always struggled with that, and I don't think changing any changes to the weapon shields and components is going to clarify what that thing does. I think it's going to be the modules that go into it. I think that's what's going to clarify the Redeemer's purpose, and that might not ever come. So yeah. More balancing still to come with the addition of armor, Citizen Ninja, stealth, control surfaces, engineering, resource management, etc. Yeah, and this is the thing. I think Edison lent me this or linked me this great video where they were talking about ship changes in one of the hour-long Friday episodes, Star Citizen Live, and they talk about we balance a little bit for what's going on now. And obviously that was a few years ago. Obviously that is not talking about master modes and these changes. So yeah, I mean, first off, I've got a lot of sympathy for people whose ships have taken a hit, right? Especially the people that have ponied up cash for it. However, I do feel like the overriding line with this is, of course it's going to change. And if those changes are going to put people off and make people feel like they need refunds or they need to melt or whatever, then maybe just hold off on ships for now. You know, enjoy the free flies, earn up to stuff in game. It will give you something to earn towards. And then see later on whether or not that's something that you want to buy. It's my problem with everyone buying like the new hotness when it comes out, is that you don't know what... Of course it's going to be very good when it's first released. There's a track record of these ships being then balanced and not being as good as they were, and people who wanted the new hotness of Destroy Everything suddenly go, oh, it's not the Destroy Everything button anymore. Well, I don't want it anymore. So yeah, I think that needs kind of toning down a little bit. Every ship is OP till I own it. It says tier 0, then it's perfect. Don't you dare touch it. I will not touch your ship, I promise. Problem with the Redeemer, says Jotcop, is it's a gunship, and CIG doesn't know quite where to pigeonhole that. They inherited it from the Last Great Starship. Yep, the Last Great Starship, First Great Starship. That one. Yep, I know what you mean. Plus armor and modularity will change it. Too early to worry. 100%. Jay Grizz, welcome in, bud. Long time no see. Mainly because I haven't been streaming for ages, so I haven't been able to talk to you. It was the case that size 4 guns for the most part had a tighter cone of fire and a faster fire rate, plus the Redeemer is getting a handling buff. Yeah, that handling buff needs to happen. It does not handle like its size. It does not, what's the point in having those wonderful kind of bespoke nutcracker engines that you either love or hate? What's the point in having those if it drives like a space bus? Just, Shady Face, good evening. I've always considered the Redeemer a gunship like a Russian Hind and not a dropship. Yeah, absolutely. If they remove those seats, that ship all of a sudden makes sense. And all of a sudden, the Vanguard hoplite has a place again. I'm still blown away by how stupidly gunned the Arastra is. Yeah, I think basically they've been watching Eve and the mining ships go out in Eve and get their backsize handed to them. And they've gone, we don't want our mining ships to end up like that. I think the interesting thing with the Arastra is if you look at the number of crew, it can either do the mining operation or it can do the combat and defend itself, not both. So it's not like it's going to sit there, defend itself and mine at the same time. You are either industrial or you're in defense, kind of. It's literally fight or flight, right? But yeah. Oh no, Chris. Well, welcome in, buddy. I'm glad you got that fixed, mate. That's good news. But yeah, sorry it mucked around for you. Ape in Space says, you should only buy ships that you see the potential in, but nothing is permanent until full game release. Griping about changes now is futile. 100%. And we all do it, right? I kind of alluded to this in a video I did a while ago, the Paradox video, we're all right and we're all wrong for doing both things, right? At the end of the day, it's a game. There's bits that you enjoy, and when they change it, and if you stop enjoying it, you're right to point out that you don't enjoy it. At the same time, we have to expect things to change because that's what an alpha is. Everything's going to change. And the fact that we still don't have, as someone pointed out, I think it was Zeus as a ninja, armor, stealth, control surfaces, engineering, resource management, and everything else of that ilk, of course things are going to change, naturally. Things are going to be different. Even if everything stayed the same with components and weapons, ships are still going to feel different when it turns out that your ship can't just hang in orbit, it falls out of the sky like a stone, unless you've got some forward momentum, or something. You know, funnily enough, rectangles, not great at hovering unless you've got two chuffing great rotor blades attached to it like the Chinook. I'm thinking of you, the Aurora, and the Caterpillar. That thing's going to be a nightmare to land. Mad Teapot, I don't like them removing the redundancies on the 400i. Yeah, I know both you and Shadowgal are very keen to talk about the 400i, so we'll scroll down a little while. Someone mentioned that the Amble Gladiator was getting some love. That is true and good. I'm glad that that has happened, although I haven't looked specifically at that one yet. So going down to the 400i. So basically, I think what's happened here is it's lost a bunch of coolers. So it went from 3 coolers to 1. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But that's rough for it, right? That's not great. Long-range ships, part of the idea of having something can operate away from base for extended periods of time, the idea is that they have a redundancy that can, you know, so something can be taken down for maintenance, the ship can continue to operate. Something breaks, they can fix it, the ship can continue to operate. Losing the cooler like that is just rough. And it doesn't fit in with the idea of it being an explorer. Yeah. That may... I don't know whether that's an indication that they're expecting the longer range stuff to be done by the larger ships, and they're actually saying, well, for the sort of exploration gameplay we have for the 400i, you would be expected to be closer to help, but I still don't like that as a concept. I think if you want to go long-range exploring in your 400i, you should be able to try and go long-range exploring on 400i. And sure, you're going to run out of supplies quicker, and you're going to become scavenging and, you know, killing space cows and whatever else for food, but you should have that choice, I think. Yeah. Mad Water Caveness, Chaos, Evening Shippers, good to see you, buddy. Really good. Like loads of people that I haven't seen for ages because I decided not to stream for a while. It's really good to see you all back in. It does my heart good. I'm having a good day, and that deserves a cheers to everyone that's returned and all the new. Three generators, 3 coolers. Says Shadow Girl of the 400i. Holy, yeah, that's just such a naff. That's terrifying. I think that the Constellation, the turret guns have gone up a size. Don't have a problem with that because I have a Taurus. But again, I think one of the things I think I'm reading from this, I think they're going to struggle with these changes. I think what we're going to see is a size shift. So it's not going to necessarily be everything's gun changes size. I think the sizes themselves are going to get realigned. And I think likely they're going to say, look, unless you are a dedicated, like the Ares, weapon platform for a specific purpose, we're going to knock down what fighters can do to a maximum of, say, a size 4. You know, and so on and so forth. So I think that is likely coming because, you know, they're going to struggle when they get to the big ships. That the fact is, at the moment, is multi-crew is in such a bad place. Multi-crew ships are being so overwhelmed so quickly, I think they're going to have to do that to increase the time to kill. Otherwise, all this repair gameplay that they're bringing in, all the resource network, you're just not going to be able to react quick enough for that to mean anything. And why implement something if you don't want it to mean anything? And I realise there's lots of examples of that happening in the past. I have hope, you know? But yeah. Good to see. Okay. I can see Jared leaning in now with the changes, the only constant quip. Yeah, as long as he doesn't do it behind me, because I have no idea if he's in my house. So as long as he doesn't do that, that's fine. But yes. What about 12 VTOL thrusters still struggles in Atmo? Yeah, absolutely. I actually quite like the atmospheric flight changes that they're bringing. If they work as they showed at CitizenCon, that'd be great. The Prowler didn't need the buff, but I'll take it. Although how it'll affect stealth, I have no idea. Let's have a look. So that's an up number of shields because it was 2 before, right? Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. I love the Prowler. I don't own one because I don't want to pay the alien tax on it. I'm going to buy it in game, but I am a massive fan of the Prowler. I think its silhouette is great. I can't get over the fact I think they need to stretch it by about 25% because at the moment it looks a little bit like a prawn. And now I've said it, you can't unsee it. So you're welcome. See? Free gifts for everyone that joins the stream, even if it's seeing something that there is not enough bleach in the world to unsee. But yeah, okay. Going through... Matt, the Redeemer was hit with a nerf nuke. Yeah, we talked about that a little while ago, Matt. Yeah, I think it's all going to change again. Is the short story. Anvil Gladiator buffs are great, says Chris. It kills the Mark II rumours, but the heartache of how they could have done the same for the Hornet and said, "Hey, new facelift." I have a lot of problems with the idea that you can do that to a ship in the game before even launch. The fact that you've retired a range of ships, I don't like that. I just think I get the law reasons as an ex-military person myself. I fully understand how that works. It doesn't strike me as a good business practice. It's a shitty move. Sorry, YouTube. It was a shitty move. Meh. 400i needs more redundancy. Citizen Ninja says, yeah, absolutely. Pretty sure the dual component redundancy was a selling point of the Vanguards as well, says 20. Oh, God, they've not done it to the Vanguards, have they? Oh, yes, they have. Oh, that's rough. The Sentinel has an additional small power plant. Yeah, that makes sense for all its electronic warfare capability. That makes sense. But yeah, that's rough as well. That is rough. Maybe they come with things like armored component compartments. Having just been to Bovington Tank Museum and read all about like armored ammo compartments and stuff and protected ammo compartments, might do the same with components. Somehow, I doubt it. But yes, it's something like that. Matthew says, I also find it funny how the C1 was meant to be getting buffs due to being designed in the old system, yet nothing here with the Zeus coming out now. Yeah. No, I don't know if it was supposed to be getting buffs. I think what they said about the C1 was that people were pointing out that the number of components was weird. And they point out that, yes, it's designed for the upcoming component changes, which is why it doesn't seem to have as many. I think that was the general gist. Or was that the Zeus? I might be misremembering. But yeah. The most surprising thing about the Gladiator buff is CIG remembering that it exists. Agreed. It's still a very good looking ship. I still quite like it. I got it as a loaner for something, I think. But yeah. Oh, I had it as a loaner because I had the Retaliator base. I don't know if it's still in my hangar anymore. Yeah. Drink for everyone who came back, says Matthew. Been there, done that. Tough. Been there. It'll be a posh barbecue space cow because origin. Absolutely. Yeah, it'll be, like Wagyu cow and, truffle butter and all that sort of stuff. Whatever that is. The A2 is getting a huge shield buff. Interesting. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. I guess as one of the kind of attack variants that kind of makes sense. So one of the military variants. Yeah, I get that. I get the bomber having bigger shields. But it is a huge buff, you're right. Fighter should not be able to touch a big ship unless it's bomber or torpedo. Shh, the other streamers will hear you and they'll get very, very angry. Because that's what happens. But yeah, there still should be things like thrusters may be able to be damaged, ships like the Carrack, those communication aerials or the scanning aerials that stick off of it, things like that can be damaged by fighters, right? Stuff like that makes sense. Like the whole Star Wars targeting the shield domes on it and small ships being able to take that out. That sort of stuff I think can still happen, but you're right. In terms of the hull and actually damaging the ship past those little things, no. It should take a long old time. Damage the armor, sure. Penetrate the armor, absolutely not. These size changes to ship components and hard ports make me also wonder what ship price adjustments increases we'll see at IEE, says Citizen Ninja. I wouldn't be surprised if the Andromeda increases to 250 from 240. It's a really good point. The price increases and stuff, and I'm not going to lie, I've not done enough of a comparison to really kind of make any judgment on price and things yet. But you're right. There's going to be some, or it paves the way potentially for the ships to have some sort of price change levied on them. Then again, I would have problems with that from a business point of view because it just doesn't make sense to do that to people when you know these changes that we've been talking about at length, when the changes are going to happen again and again and again. I think it would be really dodgy, not to say that it wouldn't happen, if CIG used that as a justification for playing with the prices. Besides, I think if you haven't seen it, it came out yesterday. I think there are other things coming at CitizenCon. I think there's another focus. Yeah, that. War Daddy, says Striker. Yeah. Striker, you're not wrong, sir. Best job I ever had. Oh, it's just not doing it. I'll do that. Maybe that works. Best job I ever had. Went to see that actual tank today, mate. I saw the tank they filmed it in. Incredible. Down at the Bovington Tank Museum here in the UK. I've got pictures of me stood next to it. I might upload something in a little while. But yeah, kind of cool. It's all on my phone at the minute, and my phone is downstairs charging. So, because I don't bring my phone into my bedroom anymore, because otherwise I do not sleep. But yeah. Insert District 9 meme here. Was that the prawn, Mad Teapot? Yeah, space prawn. Yeah, absolutely. No, make the Prowler smaller because it would fit on the small ship pads. No, it doesn't need to fit on the... No, it's got to be chunky. It doesn't need to fit on pads. It just bolts to the outside of a ship with that magnetic thing, and then just everyone gets out and fights on the outside of the hull, which is really cool, by the way. Yeah. Question, says Jedi Drifter. Hello, Jedi. Good to see you, bud. Do you think the reason the 400i is getting nerfed is just because the Zeus ES is coming out soon? So I'm trying to remember which way round it was. I can't remember whether they said things were going to get more components or less components because of the resource network. I can't remember. But, I mean, possibly. The Explorer space is, I guess, a little crowded right now. Especially seeing as there's very little gameplay to run along with it. But yeah, it's... I think what they're going to do for the moment is they're just going to put everything into a niche, and then later on, once they've got the core systems in, there will be another balance pass, and they'll finally go, okay, they'll then be able to say to you, okay, the Zeus ES versus the 400i, this is the use case for each. This is why you would take an ES. This is why you would take a 400i. At the moment, I think, again, there are so many changes, I genuinely don't think they know. I think they've got ideas, but even then, when they're implementing all these systems, I think most of the people that are implementing them at the minute aren't high level enough to see all of the changes that are coming and how that's going to work together. So yeah, I think lots more uncertainty, a lot more changes like this. We're going to do a lot more of these streams in the coming couple of years where we talk about stuff like this. But this is why I don't generally tend to make these videos or into a video, because it just... stuff changes so quick. And, everyone will find something to whinge. You can take the most overpowered ship in the game, take one thing off it, someone's going to whinge. So, yeah. The Legend returns to Striker. Bless you. Yeah, Perseus Wolfpack reunites. Absolutely. So, yeah. Wagyu Quasi-Grader, it says Citizen Ninja, 100%. My biggest concern, says Matthew, is how they'll balance small, medium, large, and capital with multi-crew, e.g. will fighters be useless? So, No. So the way that I think it's going to work, because they've talked about World War II, right? The reason, I mean, you look at fighters. Does anyone remember that image of like the kamikaze imprinted on the side of the warship because it hit and there's like this perfect scorch outline of the plane and it basically just bounced off, right? Because it didn't manage to hit the top deck. It just hit the armor plating on the side and just like bloop, done. The reason a lot of those fighters and stuff existed was to fight off the bombers. So ships like the Retaliator, the Eclipse, the Gladiator, those sorts of ships, those are going to be the ones that do the damage. I said do. You know, is Sentinel or the other vanguards that have torpedoes, stuff like that. They're going to be the ones that the fighters will go and intercept. They'll also run recon and all that sort of stuff. They'll deal with drop ships. They'll attack transports. They'll do all that in the fleet, in a fleet style engagement. Them killing military ships, the big ones, no, unlikely not. That doesn't make them useless. That puts them back in their place and the role that was originally envisaged for them. So yeah, I don't think it's so much that they'll be useless. They just won't be able to kill everything, which is no bad thing. You know, no one blinks an eyelid when no one blinks an eye, no one bats an eyelid. That's what I meant to say. When you look at something like the Perseus and they say the big guns are too big to track fighters, the turrets don't track fast enough. No one bats an eyelid. That's fine, right? Because the ship can't kill everything. But if you say that about a fighter, people lose their boop. And that's because certain streamers have carved themselves out a very successful niche with that ship. They're slapping in PvP, you know, they're doing very well. But they think that should extrapolate to everything, because why would they have to do anything else to kill stuff if they're just really good at this thing? And I don't think that holds up. That's just not fun for everybody else, right? So yeah. Funny enough, the game is not being built to enable a few people to ruin everybody else. And I don't think that's an unfair thing to say. Okay. Mad Teapot says, I can't wait for the Zeus Mark to look at. I mean, I'm gonna put this in the background, I think. I'm just going to skip through. Bear with me a second. Lots of flashes and stuff, but I'm just going to skip through to this one, and I don't think you'll be able to hear it. But
First
I just
introduced
wanna...
at last year's CitizenCon, the RSI Zeus.
You can't hear that, right? I just want to go and play the Zeus in the background while we watch, because this thing is such a good-looking ship, whether you like it or not. And I don't own one. But, oh my god, they are doing such a good job with the ships. I don't want one. I don't need one. I have a Taurus. I've got a Spirit at the moment. I don't need one of those. But the self-control I'm going to have to not buy one. I can only hope that the mark is being held, because we're going to get Bounty Hunter gameplay. We're going to get the prisoner pods and stuff. That would be really cool. I'm hoping for that. But yeah. Just incredible. It looks so good. They've done an incredible job with it. But yeah. So where are we? ES shouldn't be better than spec than the 400i. That's sinful. I agree. The 400i needs to be better. Mad Teapot agrees as well. That's good news. So does Citizen Ninja. It was a UK battleship, if I remember. Hang on. What? The one that the kamikaze went into, right? Yes, possibly. I can't remember. I thought it was American, but I might be wrong. The comments on the ship changes are pretty much all uniformly upvoted. For once, the community seems fairly unified. Yeah, it's you know, I think there's potentially a little bit of sample bias there, because I don't like Spectrum because it annoys me. Who's this dude? I don't like Spectrum because it annoys me, and it is just a hive of negativity. There has never been a more wretched hive of scum and villainy than Spectrum. But yeah, it is what it is, right? So I think people who don't have anything to complain about won't go to Spectrum to downvote stuff that they don't agree with, except from a few cases. But yeah. Yeah, do we think that small weapons won't damage larger ships when we get armor then? I think over time they'll do some damage to the armor, but No, I don't think they're going to penetrate it, and I think they're going to need an awful lot of time to really start to wear the armor down past the point where the ship gets really concerned by it. So I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah. Spirit, I think, wins in the style, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm not so much looking at the styling when it comes to this thing. It's just how good it looks. That paneling just looks incredible. It's so good. And the engines at the back and the thrusters underneath, like the cargo variant, was it the Clipper, having bigger thrusters so it can hold itself up more. It's just so, yeah. They've done such a good job. I might be a little bit biased because I like a lot of RSI stuff anyway, but it's an incredible looking model. We just get you one in game when the time comes. Possibly, yeah. If that avoids me spending more money on this stuff, I got so much to spend. Hey, Jadomo, good to see you, buddy. Good to have you back. Hope you're doing well, mate. Hope you're going to be. I hope you're feeling better. But yeah, it's unfortunate because we've lost a couple of people from the crowd that were going to be at CitizenCon. But you know, if anyone else is going to be around that hasn't mentioned it yet, feel free to be in the Discord. We've got a tag. We're coordinating what we're going to do over the time. You know, and if you want to come and just say hi, if you see us walking around, I will absolutely be going in the Fury shirt now that I own it. So yeah, I'm not going to stop it wearing it between now and CitizenCon, so it'll probably smell a bit. But yeah, Soriak, good evening, bud. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm debating the MR or go for the Galaxy and buy the MR in game, says Mal. That's a little bit of a price difference there, bud. that's a massive change. Yeah, these are the thrusters that they were talking about. Just so good looking. Really like that. Really like that. Yeah, Blamsmith, that's the fellow that said it took them a year to make the Zeus. Sorry. Oh, the yeah. So yes, it took them a year to make the Zeus because it was Montreal doing it. So they did the cutter. It's their first multi-crew ship. So they've got a lot more they've got to ease people into it, right? So it probably did take them a lot longer because they've not got the practice at it. And then of course they've got to get approval from the other studios for all the different bits and pieces. So yeah, I think I don't know if it took them the whole year, but I mean they've done such a good job. I really do like it. The suit lockers and stuff, everything moving more towards that physicalized state, and the ladder. That's a nice touch. I guess the MSR is going to get something similar. But yeah. Yeah, I've never thought of the 400i as a weekend ship, says Jedi Drifter, because it has a mapping table. Yeah, I think I like the idea of the mapping table because it gets out and does its thing. But yeah, I think I like all of those, like the Andromeda, the 400i. I like that. It's just that it's the ultimate space dream, right? Isn't it? There to boldly go and find new stuff that no one else has found and loot and all that sort of. Yeah, dude in the shower. Thanks for that, Jared. But yeah, so there's lots to recommend to the exploration ships, I think. So Janoma says, do you think we could cram a Zeus into a Polaris at an angle? No, absolutely not. I'm glad to hear you're feeling better, mate. I'm pleased. I have store credit, lol, says Mad World of Chaos. Absolutely. In that case, mate, you fill your boots. You know, the one thing I always find really interesting about CIG is they have this Imperator program and the subscribers, right? The whatever it's called, the Imperator and the I can never remember the other one, but they do the free ship. So why isn't it when this thing goes on sale and because it's flyable? Why doesn't it become the free ship? It just smacks of bad planning. It's like if you want to get Centurion, thank you, Shadow. Yeah, Centurion and Imperator. You know, why don't they give people access to? Why don't they give everyone access to it for 7 days? If you want to flog ships, give it to people and let them fly it. Do you know what I mean? let them know whether it's worth for them. That way, then you don't have the deal of, everyone kind of refunding or melting or whatever else. People who want the ship get the ship, and then there's less of an accusation of predatory selling practices, although I'm not entirely sure that's what they do in all cases. But, if they turn around and go, well, hey, everyone gets a trial of it, you don't have to buy it to get the free trial. Everyone gets, 24, 48, 72, whatever it is, hours after they first log in the patch to play with the thing. They know whether or not they want it. Done. Oh, look at that. Yeah. It's nothing if not a pretty game. I think that's the end of the thing now, so I'll cut back to what we were looking at before. But yeah. Thank you much, Lee. Yeah, we're down to there we go. Marvelous. Marvelous, we're back. But yeah. When a ship has released the Imperator level, get that ship for a week. They do get that, do they, Zara? Yeah, I still think it should be everyone. Because then you know whether or not you want to buy it. And if you don't, it's great because you avoid sinking cash into something you don't want. But yeah. Shadowgirl says the design of the acquisitions are worth it for the money, I'm afraid. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think you're wrong with that. It's a lot of it is what it always is with this game. It's the fear of missing out. It's that FOMO stuff. It's, well, if I want to try it, if I want to get my hands on it early, I'm going to have to buy it. Especially for those that don't have, lots of people around that have lots of ships that can lend it. Looking at you, Del. You hear me? Hello, Amidships. Good to see you. Just a quick shout out. Amidships is in the chat. Does some great Silent Hunter 4 content. If you like all the submarine stuff, go check him out. He's got a new video up today. And there's a voice actor in it that you might recognize. But yeah, great content. Really like old style, very immersive. Please, please, please go check it out. Just awesome stuff. Riveting. His first video got in the series got such a ridiculous number of views. Yeah, incredible. Really enjoy it. And as soon as I figure it out, Amidships, I am going to put you as a friend of the channel thing. I don't know how to do it. I've only been doing this a few years. But yeah, with all this talk of ships, Zero, I think the biggest nerf buff we have coming for lots of fleets is the NPC crew viability. Yeah. That's going to change the game when it comes in. The ability to order them round, to give them tasks, to have them prioritize. They're going to need to be able to shout out things like fire and stuff. If they discover one or damage, that's going to be a lot of work. But yeah, it's one that comes in. I think that's going to be different. I also think it's a little bit worrying the amount of people who think that they're going to be able to crew massive ships off these things. I would very strongly advocate against people thinking that and banking on that if that's how they're buying ships. Just because that's not been confirmed. No one said that anywhere. You can have NPCs crew, but no one's told us how many. No one's told us what the cost is. So just, I don't want people to go spend their money and then get massively disappointed because it doesn't turn out to be what it wants it to be. Just hold off. But yeah. Mad Teapot won't be going to CitizenCon, but new motorbike. So, I mean, win, right? That's a net win. Hope you're enjoying it, mate. But yeah, it's a shame that I couldn't catch you up. I was thinking MR, says Mad Water Chaos, and the small base building vehicle, or get the Galaxy. Yeah, the Galaxy looks like it's going to be an impressive bit of kit. Alan, always good to see your videos. Good to see you, mate. Yeah, really looking forward to it. Oh, just while I'm here, I think I'm gonna have an animated channel intro, but more on that in a future stream, because a friend's little lad is into video editing and is going to do me an animated intro, which looks really cool. He showed me a demo of it, and I was just like, so yeah, looking forward to seeing that. Yeah. So yeah, the 400i being a safari ship for rich people. Soriak, you and Shadowgirl can fight that out in the chat because she's going to fight that far harder than I ever will. We get free flies for the new releases at ILW, the International Launch Week, or it's a Galactic Launch Week, and IAE at least. Yes, we do. Yeah, 100%. I just think it should happen like what they did with the Atlas. Do that for everyone, but do it in the PU. Don't do it in the PTU because PTU. Ugh. Yeah. Does seem like an odd change for the 400, especially if it's supposed to be exploration. 100%. That's where we all landed on that one, I think. And the Corsair to me is just a long-range pirate ship. Wow. I mean, Drake, Origin, just have at it in the comments. Just leave me out of it because I don't want to get involved. I don't like it when Mummy and Daddy are fighting. But yeah. Yes, we will image chips before you go and do what you're doing. Yeah, absolutely. I have the Banu Merchantman, says Takara God, so I can play with it in the hangar where it will always sit. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, because there was so much hype for that, and it's kind of died off with everything else that's gone, and it's gone completely silent on that front. And I expect it will do until they finish their pass on the RSI ships like the Galaxy and the Perseus and all that sort of stuff, and the Polaris, which has also gone worryingly quiet. But yeah, they've got some stuff to go. So I think the BMM is a ways down the road yet. But yeah. Missing out on Citcon because I'm currently jobless. Blamsmith, it happens to us all, mate. It's rubbish. I'm sorry you're in that position. I hope you get a resolution soon, bud, because I was there for a little while and it was not a fun place to be. But let's face it, there are going to be plenty more CitizenCons between now and release. And let us know when you get to one, bud, and we'll link up and get a drink. It'll be good. Todd and Chris Roberts says, "Well, cruise ships with NPCs, you'll just be at a disadvantage." Yeah, so I think again they've said cruise ships, which ships, like up to what size? The idea that we could have 79 NPCs helping us crew a javelin strikes me as optimistic. So up to what size? So yes, I'm happy with the idea of the AI will be able to function and do most of what the players do. They just won't be as effective at it. No issue with that. It's just, how far up that chain to go. Jedi Grifter, happy that the Starfarer is getting some love. With the increase of shields, long overdue for a fuel hauler. Do you know what? The poor old Starfarer just needs help, full stop, right? That thing is struggling. So let's have a quick look at the MISC Starfarer. Yeah, 3 size 3 shield generators. That's a significant bump up in survivability. But yeah, I think it's one of those things that, the Starfarer is just waiting for so much help. But it is going to be so useful. The fact that it's got all that internal space, the fact that it can refuel, it's got those external ramp fuel cargo pods, which I have a feeling you're going to be able to do a lot more with down the line. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. Is that an increase in shield size for the MSR? Let's have a look. That one, possibly. Yeah, I think it's a reduction in number, but increase in size, potentially. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, and I'm not going to look at the Matrix of Lies because it lies. But yeah. Huh, interesting change to Striker 256. I mean, happy that my daily got an increase, just not a change I would have expected. Absolutely. Drake was that don't make pirate ships. They are ships that pirate happen to like, says Jock Cop. Now he's beginning to sound like Algorithm, man. That's exactly what he says. Yeah. UK of Games. How you doing, mate? Good to see you, mate. Pleased you made it in. Cheers to you, my friend. But yeah. The Polaris was in the Zeus video in the midsection. Was it indeed? I'll have another look. Let's have a look. I'm just going to flick through everything that was in here. In the midsection. Can you find that and timestamp that for me? Madworld? Let's have a look. Shout out if you see it. But we'll talk as we go through. But let me know in chat. Just bear in mind that it's a little while. There's a couple of seconds delay, so I'll have to go back and have another look at it. But yeah, it was in the size 10 bearing tops were on the display. Really? Interesting. Oh, did we see it from the bridge of the ship? Did we? They've committed to a full rework of the Starfarer. Yeah, because the internal part of it was in the MFD bit. Is that what we're saying? Is it the Zeus video? Oh, the MSD of the Zeus was in. Okay, we'll have a look in just a second. Yeah, just shout out when we're getting close. Cool. Gotcha. Yeah, so the inside of the Starfarer obviously built like an FPS level. It looks like an FPS level. Absolutely not built as a ship that needs to be built. And needs to be used as a functional thing. So yeah, expect that to change quite significantly. But yeah, yeah. Hello, Tel. Welcome back, bud. A2's gone up in size again with its shields. Yeah, absolutely. Big increase in the number. 2 size 2 to 1 size 3. Yeah, that's a huge, huge upgrade. Agree with that fighter and bomber statement versus capital ships. It is what it is, right? That's the way it needs to go. Otherwise, again, people will say, well, why would you ever take fighters? No. Why would you ever take the big ships? If I can kill it with a fighter, why would I not just take more fighters? So yeah. When I first bought my Starfarer, says Tier 0, I come out of the game and load up for First Impressions YouTube to find out how to reach the bridge. They're not easy to figure out and fly, are they? Sorry, to get around, let alone fly. But yeah, I also think that thing's going to be an absolute nightmare in... Is that the bit that I was supposed to be seeing? FPS level, 100%. That articulated tractor beam arm is really cool as well. I like that a lot. Maybe go back and pause. Yeah, is that... So it was this bit, right? Dum-ty-dum, standing by with the pause. No, that's the inside of there, because that's on the Sky 12s, right? That's the inside of the Zeus. Yeah. Inside of the Starfarer feels like you're trapped in a nightmare, 100%. Yeah, it's just a really rough kind of ship to get around with at all, really. That cloud looked like a javelin. Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, if all we're seeing is the MFD of a Polaris, right? That's fine. It's not as exciting as seeing the whole thing, up. But yeah, so again, changes that are gonna kind of that we need to remain flexible on, because it's all going to change again in the next couple of patches, as they bring in armor, as they bring in stealth, as they bring in all that sort of stuff, and as they start to eke out these master mode changes and let ships find their own niches. I think a lot of this is likely to change again, and we haven't got our hands on the resource network stuff yet, so that is likely to need, a lot of our feedback might be, no, we need more components, because it's too easy to disable a ship just by killing one component. So many ships are taken out by losing one link in the chain. So yeah, I think I find it hard to be excited by these changes. I'm just really glad that they're getting a little bit more clear on how to read these things. So like this bit here, right? If something now says 1 times size 2 power plant, that means it has a single size 2 power plant rather than gaining an additional one. So they're just clarifying the changes, which makes these things, because, you know, sometimes we get these posts and they don't clarify that, and then it just goes hell to leather on the on Spectrum and everywhere else, with people going, no, that's extra, no, that's a change. Ugh, just miserable. But yeah, 1331 is the time. It's a Polaris in space. We're just going to keep flicking back through this, I think. 1331. Here we go. So it is. Good spot. That is absolutely a Polaris in space. Yep. That's what that is. Oh, yeah, that way. Polaris. Woo. Yeah. So, cool. Very cool. Is there a... Is there more to that? We close on it a little bit. We have a look. And that's it. Boo. No, that's it. That's it for the Polaris. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to look at as well was the ATLS. Thanks, Dell. Was just have a quick look at this thing because it came out, and I don't think it's unfair to say that it's not in a good state right now. The way in which they've chosen to release this, I don't feel like is the best way that they could have released it. But yeah. So let's have a look at... Oh, Jedi Drift says you can see the missiles through the cockpit for the Zeus, something like the Connie. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Anything like that where you've got a very quick visual reference to how many missiles have I got is like a really nice, you know, kind of visual reference rather than having to go to an MFD and figure it out. So we got the ATLS. The one thing that I was shocked about when I did a quick react thing to this, and first off, I found it the derpiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And then it started to grow on me quite a bit. And actually, being derpy as an industrial thing is not necessarily bad. Has anyone seen those little digging machines that you can bring into the garden? They look like some kids lost their digger toy. But they do a perfectly reasonable job. So I don't have a problem with that. What I, funny enough, don't like is that this thing, more than any other thing in the game, including the PTV, requires you to have something else in your hangar for it to work. Because what the hell are you loading if it's not this, right? You can take the PTV out and go somewhere faster than you can walk. This thing isn't faster than you can walk. So if all you want to do is drive from the spaceport to the Commons, this thing is going to take you a week and a half, right? Because it's just so slow. So the fact that they've now charged it at the same as other things, it's not even a combat one, right? I don't like. So yeah, I've got a bit of it bothers me. I think that it's just there's nothing to it, and it comes in. I think basically it should have been half the price it was. But they are. I mean, I know people keep saying this, but there would have been nothing wrong with going, sorry about Pyro, have one of these. But maybe that's too much, right? We have, however, had a Q&A. Okay, so it qualifies a lot of the things, a lot of the points that people have been raising about it. One of the things to bear in mind with this is it now, I think it's pretty much the only thing, once the new patch hits, that can lift 32 SCU of the big stuff. So, I mean, that's okay, because you don't buy cargo and get, you know, if you buy 64 SCU of cargo, you choose how you receive that. So you don't go, I want 64 SCU. You go, I want 8 SCU boxes times however many. So you just avoid that. Yes, some of the hauling missions are going to require you to buy SCU or to move 32 SCU boxes. You just avoid those contracts. Yeah. So it's not as limiting, I think, as some people want to make it out that it is, any more than, you know, an Aurora can take you up to a certain stage in combat. Past that, in the bounty hunter contracts, you're just not going to be able to achieve it. I don't think it's conceptually much different. So do we get any environmental protection? No, you do not. Short term, you can wear any armor that you want in it. Long term, that's not going to be the case. Basically, the thing itself is invulnerable. But if you in it can still take hits, and that will still damage you as normal. So, you know, if I hit you with a tonk round, you're dead. Your Atlas is just going to be sat there smiling. Again, not going to be the way it always is, but it's just the way it was brought in. Which kind of, the question raises, one of the answers that you'll see again and again and again in this is, that is not going to be the case forever. And the question becomes, well, why did you not just release it in a better state? And it's not just, we're not just talking about systems that don't exist. It doesn't have lights. Nothing we're implementing right now requires us to implement anything new for the use of lights. So, you know, but yeah, we will be following update in a future release. No, it has no storage, unsurprisingly. Here you go. The initial release, the torch on your helmet is the only one that you've got. We intend to add lights in a future update. Future update, future update. It doesn't need to be this complicated. Interchangeable components, no. Paints at the moment, it says, no components. The chance that it will use the resource network, so the chances are it'll have a battery, and that battery will need to be switched out rather than recharged, which is kind of cool, because then it's kind of leaning into maybe the whole Atlas maintenance station that there was some really, really cool concept art of. And I'm going to see if I can, there we go, I'm going to see if I can find that from some time ago. But yeah, let's see if I can find that. Where is it? There we go. That's really cool. These like Titan suit maintenance stations. I really like that. But yeah. I'm pissed that the black paint job is $2 more than the yellow. Haven't goth suffered enough, says Tier Zero. No, I think that's kind of their function in life is to suffer. Mule needs tractor beam now, Sister Karagord. Interesting. Atlas versus Mule, says Deadeye Drifter. That's a really interesting comparison, I think. That's going to be an interesting one. And unfortunately, a lot of that is going to be speculation, because it's going to be situations where they're not necessarily going to that don't exist in the game yet, but you can quite happily foresee happening. Foresee occurring in the further future. I think the reason is it's an important Squadron 42. Oh, sorry, imported Squadron 42 assets as Jock Cop that was brought in the state it is to get something out. Yeah, I haven't had a look at the funding graph. I thought we were pretty much on track, which begs the question: why do they need to get something out, especially with CitizenCon less than a month away? But maybe they do. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but yeah, absolutely. So what else we got? How fast does it move? No, it matches basically a fast walk, although it doesn't. Your fast walk, even without sprint at the moment, is faster than this thing moves, even with its sprint. The Atlas cannot jump. That may change. No fall damage is currently taken. That will change. So, yeah. How does it pay with an EVA? It doesn't. And if you're in it, the only thing you can do is get out. You can't get in it while it's in 0G, which makes sense. Okay. The Atlas tractor beam is the main reason this thing is even different, and it's the fact that you grab something, it instantly comes through to you, you're not scrolling your mouse wheel or whatever you've bound that to, and then when you get the outline of wherever it is, you don't need to move it there, and then when you click, it just goes there and you do your next thing. That is why I think this is going to be so much faster than two people doing other stuff. The range at which you can move that to, you can move heavier objects further, faster, frankly. It's going to be quite effective. Can I injure another player with the Atlas by hitting, ramming, or falling on them? Basically, I think if you jump on them, you can kill them. It says here. If you do manage to fall on top of someone, it can be enough to kill them in normal gravity. Fine. Hurling cargoes, containers, or others is not advised. It can lead to any number of injuries or even death. Thank you very much to Shadow Girl for testing this with me, she killed me with a cargo container. Just saying. Yeah. Can I attack someone with my FPS firearms while piloting in the Atlas? No, absolutely not. The only other controls are accessing the mobiGlas, which doesn't work at the moment. You access the mobiGlas, the screen dims as the effect for the mobiGlas does, but nothing comes up at the moment. Or at least it didn't the last time I was piloting one. And wiping your visor, which makes sense because of the fact that it's open. Okay, so combined efforts are not possible for moving cargo boxes, but will work for ships and vehicles. Interesting. That's kind of crazy. I hadn't considered that, and now I'm worried about what people are planning with the Atlas tractor beam flinging ships around, especially if you can punt this thing. Yeah, that's we are not amused. So the Atlas can be retrieved at an ASOP terminal if abandoned or lost. Insurance claim will be possible for a destroyed Atlas. Fine. Can I use passenger elevators, stroll through the landing zones, or use public transportation? No, the Atlas does not fit inside elevators. So stop putting the Atlas in elevators. There was a really weird one. I was on the train, the metro loop from New Babbage Spaceport going back, and someone was obviously mucking around with one because for a moment it appeared inside the carriage with me, and I pooped a little. That was terrifying. It was like, oh, I'm just dead, and luckily enough, it just disappeared. But yeah. Can I spawn an Atlas in a party member's hangar? Doing so is tied into allowing ground vehicles to be spawned via freighter elevators. This is planned and being worked on, so no, not yet, but yes, later. Cool. In development, doesn't have a release date. Shocker. There is so much in here. I guess because part of this is the idea of new Titan suits, right? It's not just about the Atlas. We're trying to extrapolate out what this means for the other cargo suits. I love that. That's great. How do I transport this thing if I don't have a ship? Buy a bigger ship. That's literally the answer. Buy a bigger ship. Wow. Yeah, that. Okay. I did say that I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here. The Atlas has surprised me. Yes, it's not ready for the game yet, and I feel like they could have done a lot more before they released it. I mean, they could have at least waited till CitizenCon, right, and sold it over the weekend there. However, something reassures me about the Atlas, and it's where it fits into cargo gameplay, right? It's snugly fit into a mesh. They keep saying we want a reason to take everything, right? And the Atlas hasn't invalidated handheld cargo beams. It just does something quicker. But if you want to take it somewhere, A, you need a ship that fits it, and B, you're going to have to be very careful where you put it, because otherwise it's not going to fit, or you're going to lose cargo space to it. So yeah, sure, you can take it, but now you can't move as much cargo. So what do you want? You want to move smaller amounts faster or large amounts slower? And that's a nice little balance. That's a nice trade-off. And different people are going to have different assets for that. You're going to have the people who want to maximize their profits, who are like, no, I want to fill this ship with everything I've got. And then you're going to have the people who go, no, the faster I can make runs, the better. And it just fits into that niche really nicely. And watching the Atlas move around, you can extrapolate quite nicely for the combat one, right? I don't expect the combat variant to be much faster than this, because that fits into a nice niche. Why wouldn't everyone just wear Titan suits? Because they're really slow, and you'll get outflanked, and someone's going to pop up with a railgun and make you have a really bad day. So they're going to need to be landed support. They're also going to need to be landed close to an area, because otherwise it's going to take you 3.5 months to get to where you need to go. A combat drop with an expected combat time or contact time of 5 business days is not what you look for in combat. So, again, if they keep to that sort of principle, yes, they're up armored. You know, they'll be fully enclosed like the one that's in the concept drawings. You'll be protected, but you'll also be vulnerable because you can be outflanked. You don't move that quick. It's going to be quite a nice balance, I think, to strike with these things. Because what we don't want is Atlas suits to come out and just be like, well, why would you ever fight on foot when you can fight in an Atlas suit? It's like, no, horses for courses. You're going to fight into a bunker or you're going to defend a bunker. Atlas suits are useful because mobility, you don't need it. Turning power, you don't need it because you're just waiting for your opponent to come through one of a couple of entrance ways. I've got this. You know, whereas attacking something, Atlases need to be supported or can't be done at all. If you can't land close, you're going to be more likely to take something like the Spartan and a group of guys in the back of it to get there. So yeah, I really like the way that that's going, and I hope they stick with it. I'm just going to react to a couple of the comments because I think we've gone a fair way down. Shadow Girl says, wait, imagine if you use the Atlas with a big container to block weapons fires and explosions while a team approaches a base. That needs testing. That absolutely needs testing. Yeah. So Friday, I'll put an event up. Let's go testing the Atlas. You know, let's put up some big cargo containers and then start firing missile launchers and rail guns and grenade launchers and everything else that we've got. And that I really like. That needs testing. 100%. Oh, there was no collision. Ollie43 was testing it. Of course he did. Damn. That's gutting. Why is there no collision? That doesn't make sense. Tractor beam doesn't mean things can pass through it. If that's the case, I don't need to open my ship. I can just put my thing through the ship. That doesn't make sense. That's weak. I think the Atlas will be nice on the Polaris. Yes, absolutely. Really nice too on the Ironclad. It's going to be really nice on the Ironclad, and a couple of other ships that I can think of as well, that I can't think of off the top of my head. But, you know, stuff that's got that repair bay that it has, great to have an Atlas in there. Because you're not taking up cargo space. That would be mint. Yeah. Matthew says, I'd be fine with the Atlas being much faster and auto-moving, but I don't think the large tractor beam should be blocked from moving a 32 SCU. Yeah, I think it just needs to be, you know, it needs to be horses for courses. It's, again, you're not losing anything by not being able to move 32 SCU boxes because you choose what size containers the cargo comes in. So, yeah. If you want to move 32 SCU of cargo, you take an Atlas. If not, just take a bunch of 16s. Easy peasy. Speed. Atlas and Polaris to reload torp. Oh my god, can you imagine just Atlases just getting hold of the torpedoes and just like using them like a hammer, just sledgehammering these torpedoes into stuff, just being like, the launch tubes are jammed, don't worry, I've got this. Yeet! Yeah, that'd be absolutely brilliant. The carnage and the big bombs as well from the C2. Sorry, from the M2. Just get one of those bombs and just be like, oh no, off. Pew. So yeah. What about the raft? The raft has to take 32 SCUs containers and can't hold the Atlas. Yeah, 100%. Yep. So maybe that would be really cool to have the Atlas kind of attached to the raft or something like that. So yeah, that'll be cool. Raft has its own tractor beam. Also, that's the other thing is that ships with tractor beams. So ships like the, hey Hellwinter, good to see you, buddy. You know, ships like the Spirit and the Taurus and the, you know, now the Zeus Clipper and all that sort of stuff. They got tractor beams, so it's not as debilitating as people are saying. But yeah. Yeah, that'll be cool. Argo cargo ship with Atlas charging. Yeah, I almost like the idea. Have you guys seen? I forget what the film's called, but there's a film where is it Spectral, where they start attacking ghosts. Basically, it's a sci-fi film. They get attacked by ghosts, and they have these like walking like almost like dog robot things, like the ones you've seen demoed, but they're military utility vehicles, and they literally just hang from the back of the Osprey. They're literally just there, and they literally go and detach it, and it just plong, and then off it toddles, doing its thing. That with a power loader would be incredible. Something like the Storm Raven dropping off dreadnoughts from Space Marine. Just like, there you go, fix it. But yeah, Atlas is bad value at $35. Citizen Ninja, 100%, absolutely. It should have been $20 all in. I said $20 to $30. It should have been that for normal, for store credit. Warbond should have been less. But yeah, 100%. Catch says I want to yeet. That repulsor thing is just like bomb. Just watching it sail into the distance, watching this bomb come in. Oh no. Yeah. Get the mule, guys. You can move 1 SCU boxes. Yeah, 100%. They should increase the mule to hold 6 of those containers. What, the 6 of the SCU thing? The problem with the mule being bigger is how much space it takes up compared to how much it can carry. But yeah. Jotcop says, I'm looking forward to being weps on someone's weapons officer on someone's Polaris running the torpedo deck. Yeah, just shouting at people. Oh, I see what you mean. Sorry, I meant the raft. Increase the raft to hold 6 of those containers. Yeah, the thing with the raft is, like, when I did the video with the info runners looking at it, I still hold that the back looks like it could extend, right? Because all those interlocking kind of rod sections, it looks like it just go and add more, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Clearly I'm wrong, because it can't. Didn't show hover pallets during ISC or something. Yeah, so there's the little cargo movers they showed during distribution centers, Hellwinter. But I think, there's still a big question on what about things like the Caterpillar, the Carrack, where you've got to be higher up to be able to see the slots on the desk. But yeah. Speaking of bad value, $35 Atlas, says Chris. What's your take on the $30 CitizenCon digital goodies package? Funny you should mention that, my good friend. I have that here. Yeah. I mean, look, right? I won't say that I haven't bought bits of armor and stuff, because I have. Mainly, most of my stuff is subscriber flare, right? But there's a specific combo of armor I like. It's the Aztalan helmet. I like rocking the military stuff, but with the Aztalan helmet, it looks pretty solid. I like that. But yeah, I mean, you can get most of this stuff in the game. If not, when people can claim, they're going to drop it on the ground for you. You can pick it up and off you go. For me, there's a couple of bits in here that I find interesting. What on earth is the UEE black box? What does that do? And that's the reason in the CitizenCon predictions video I released yesterday, I talk about potential data running being one of the gameplay loops that we might see next. Because that's what that sounds like, right? The black box sounds interesting. The PAAR is really interesting because that is the assault rifle that we see demoed in the Squadron 42. I held the line. I'll see if I can find it. Yes, we saw that, Striker. Thank you. But yeah, I think Striker's a little bit behind in the comments. So yeah. Well, yes, quite. Yeah, not talking so much about value at the moment, Chris. Just talking about the contents of it, and then I'll talk about what's in there. But the CitizenCon trophy developed live. The redacted items. I mean, maybe they push it over. I mean, you get what? 2 weapons. You get a full suit of armor. You get a themed badge for Spectrum, which I'm never going to use because I don't go on Spectrum. You get a themed double bed, whatever that is. I don't know. Maybe it's just a normal bed with CitizenCon like bedding on it. I'm not going to lie. We went to Bovington. There was tank bedding, and I was sorely tempted until my mate called me a child, and then I decided not to. But I'm tempted. Yeah. I mean, Yeah, I think whatever. The storage chest will be interesting, but no, it's. I mean, for sure, Chris. I don't think it's worth necessarily that. Um, it's it's like anything, right? Collectors editions of anything aren't worth anything to anyone over and above the base game unless that's the sort of thing you go in for. Some people are going to go in for some of this stuff, like the fact that it has 3 there, at 5 with the 2 redacted items, things that are CitizenCon 2954 themed stuff. So once this digital pack stops being sold, they're gone. Some people are going to want that for the sake of completion. Everyone that goes there is getting this anyway, so we all get it. And I think the people that go there are probably, because for some people, they're going to go to one CitizenCon, and they might want that represented in game when they finally get to having the hanger, having the challenge coin or the trophy displayed is going to be a big thing to them. And I get that, but I think that's where the value comes from, is that it means something to you personally. Do I want to pay $30 for a couple of guns and a suit of armor? No, absolutely not. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I just the what's interesting is I think on the expanded pack I also saw it had something about a UE pennant, like a flag, and that's really cool. The bit here that I find really interesting because it keeps coming up. Why UEE? Why? Why is it UEE? We know why, right? We're guessing why. Um, kind of. Yes, exactly that, Chris. Hellwinter. I think almost. I think it's going to be a release date. Genuinely, I think it's going to be a release date. If you haven't seen the video that I did about the predictions, we can go into that. But yeah, that's what I think it's going to be. Genuinely, and that's sure it's hopium. Anything in the future that they haven't explicitly stated is hopium, but I think there's more than enough evidence pointing at something like that, for people to say possibly. But yeah. Yes, yeah. Tier 0, yeah, and the hover quad stuff. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully not. UE being the theme of CitizenCon 2954. Yeah, I think it's just weird. The Bengal theme for the carrier. Why? It's got nothing to do with the verse. We see it once. Vandal black box would have been funnier. I don't think the Vandal are that interested in black boxes, if I'm being honest, Soriak. But you're right, it would have been funnier. Um, do you think we will see the gold standard glaive blade and scythe at CitizenCon? I mean, there's a significant chance, I guess, especially if Squadron 42 is where I think it is. Then yes. Redacted items are usually linked to a new ship in they're unveiling. Yeah, or a new game. Well, not a new game, but you know what I mean. Yeah. Um, and without getting too mad about it, in a nutshell, here's why I think what I think. When they released the information about the gala, they mentioned that they were going to have some special guests. Why would CIG refer to themselves as special guests? They wouldn't, especially when everyone from CIG has been to previous CitizenCons, especially all the management. So they're not special guests because they've been at previous ones. That's weird. I think that was they were trying to get some of the stars there to that gala. That didn't pan out because of scheduling or whatever else, which is why the gala was panned. The premium ticket talks about an autographed keepsake. Now, I can't get it because it's in a cupboard in the other room, but I have a program from the 2019 CitizenCon. What happens at the end of the event? I don't know where it happens on the 2 days. I think it probably happens at the end of day one. But they all the big people, Chris Roberts, Top Happy when he was there, Rich Tyra, they all sit at desks, and you just line up, and you get 30 seconds with each person, including Jared. They sign your program, you have a quick 30-second chat with them, and then you move on to the next one. That's not paywalled, that's just whether or not you want to hang around at the end of a long day and enjoy that. So having their autographs on a keepsake would be weird when everyone's going to get that anyway if they can be bothered to hang around. So that doesn't make sense. And, just a whole host of, I'm struggling to bring them up now because I'm tired, it's been a long old day, but there's just a load of little things that when you take them all as one picture, go, oh, that could well indicate that it's that. So yeah, I think that's where we are. And if that's the case, then Jodomo 100% glaive blade scythes. Because one of the interesting things, of course, is that they've also said, and they reiterated this, when the F8 came out, and they released that for sale, did the whole gold ticket thing, and I know that's on again, is they talked about the F8 was not the only thing you were going to be able to earn the right to buy from Squadron 42. So maybe it's got something to do with that. Maybe the glaive, the blade, or the scythe, maybe one of those is one of those ships, Chidamo. Possibly, I don't know. One of the items might be the military multi-tool from the single player. That would be interesting, yeah, because they're much more capable. They mentioned that Vandal ships will get updated post Squadron 42 dropping. Yep, 100%. Thank you, Shadow Girl. Yeah, if you want to drop a like, I appreciate it. It's been a while since I've streamed, but coming back, this has been crazy. Loads of people on, and loads of familiar faces, which always makes me a happy boy. Yeah, I doubt they'll change the glaive in-game until after we can play Squadron 42. Yeah, 100%. It opens the door for a lot more interesting stuff. All the things that we don't know about coming in Squadron 42. Once that game is out, there's then none of this spoiler barrier that CIG seem to be really worried about, stopping any of those things being ported into Bengal ship sales. No. Yeah, thankfully that's never going to happen according to CIG. But yes, yeah, everyone said the same thing. Nope. Yeah, so these things, everything will hopefully be around, and yeah, someone would buy 5%, 5 times of them. Hardell. Algrid will probably get one as well. Star kit and paint. No, get out. Just get out. You know where the door is. Don't let you in the backside on the way out. Which one of the options for completing Squadron 42? A UE Gladiator that can hold 2 size 9 torps. No, those torps are bigger than the Gladiator. That thing would just be ridiculous. Yes, you, Del. You know exactly who I'm talking about. Yes, Algrid will get 2. There was a very funny conversation with Algrid over at the Info Runners, where we were looking through his fleets, and they had to remind him that he had 1 more javelin than what he was talking about. He has 3. Just, you know what I mean? Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. But yeah, so that's kind of crazy. I'm just going to have a quick flick through, because we've also got this one to talk about. Yeah, this one was interesting, right? No, I'll give over. I don't want to do that. This one seemed to upset a lot of people yet again. But yeah, how did you forget that? Says how Winter. You have as many ships as Algrid has. His fleet is ridiculous. I think basically the only ship he doesn't have is the Cutty still, because he refuses to own it, and that's why people keep trying to buy it for him, I think. He's really leaning into the old man Huston. Yeah, basically, I think when they got to whatever milestone it was, they were a couple of K out, so he just went and bought another Javelin to push them over the line. Just, when you're like, stop it. We need an intervention. Stop doing things like that. But yeah, the addiction hotline, yeah, 100%. Hellwinter thinks Peregrine is cool. Pure racing ship. Yeah, and I think this is, one of the things I do like about it is the addition of the little wings on the top. So those 2 there. These bits right at the back, you can see now. I think, for the races, it's great. For everyone else, it's going to be kind of meh. But for racers, it's great to have something like that that's that size and a racer. I think that's really cool for them. I'm really pleased. Especially seeing as it's not like we're sat there looking at this going, why did you take such a cool hull and then just not ever let it do anything other than go fast? They've not done that. It's got loads of other roles as well, and also does that, which is very cool. Yeah, I think it's cool. The Paragon looks cool, but I'm going to have a Hanger Queen. It'll be my glaive. Yep, 100%. It's going to be the admiral of his own battle group. Yeah, that's the thing, right? You get these big fleets, and I think people don't kind of. And I'm not linking this to Algrid. Algrid, if you're watching, I'm not saying this about you, mate. But one of the things with this is that controlling these really big ships like the Idris, like the Javelin, even like the Polaris, it's gonna be like raid leading. So if people sit there and go, I don't want to raid lead, I don't want to be responsible for the success or failure of 14 or 15 or 80 players, those ships are not for you. Because you've got to do enough on those ships to keep everyone occupied. People are going to get bored, people are going to go, and then you get into combat and then you don't have enough players to fight the ship. And it's gonna be interesting. Owning a Javelin, owning a Polaris, owning an Idris, it does not mean you're capable of running one well. And I think a lot of people are going to get a shock when that happens. Matthew says, I've got a big fleet. It's not all about size, Matthew. Just remember that. My favourite's a Prowler. Yeah, absolutely. When it goes boom, long repair time, 100%. Well, yeah, that's why I've got 3. Obviously, I have 3 Javelins, so I can blow 2 up and still have another one to call on. At which point, my opponent has run out of money, ordnance, supplies, the will to live, internet connection. Their CPU is melted down. You know what I mean? So yeah, interesting. Yeah. It's a commitment, says Shadowgal. It really, really is. The Peregrine's concierge paint makes the Firebird look like a raven. Has blacked out segments in the wings. There's a concierge post on the Starlight paint showing it. Interesting. Let's have a go and have a look at the Starlight paint. I don't know which one that is. Let's harvest Firebreak, Starlight. Interesting. Yeah, that does look good. Yeah, I gotta say, I like the stock. I actually quite like the stock. I think that's nifty. But yeah, Sabre Peregrine. And then, yeah, the Starlight obviously is the concierge one. Very nice. Socially Confused, good to see you, bud. Welcome back. It's been a while. Senef, good to see you, mate. I already melted all big ships in order to crew others, says Senef. I hope that works out. You almost need your own TeamSpeak server. Hellwinter, you absolutely do. One of the things I'm going to do soon is I play Arma 3. I'm going to go and see the 77th JSOC, of which I understand, still a part, even though I haven't been on there in some time. And I'm just going to ask if they wouldn't mind, just for a moment, me sitting in on one of their live ops in their TeamSpeak server. And I'm going to do it without the mod, so you can hear what 80 people talking to each other sounds like. Yeah. Discord, things like Discord and that just aren't going to cut it. People go, oh, I'll just use Discord. Really? With 15 people all trying to coordinate? You've got someone trying to launch the ship, you've got someone trying to repair, you've got the turrets trying to coordinate, you've got the captain telling the pilot where to go. Good luck with that. All at the same time? Yeah. So yeah, that's gonna be crazy. Socially, don't worry, mate. You've got us for another few minutes and then 25 minutes or so. But yeah, nested channels and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And then all of a sudden, comms officer has a purpose, which is kind of cool. But yeah. Search for Starlight and Concierge to see it and other sabers of interest. Yeah, absolutely. I'll have a look. I don't want to get into that too much because I don't want to reveal too much of my own stuff on there when I click the wrong thing and the people are like, I got to details. Woo. But yeah. One thing I will say about owning capitals is not just it's for you, it's more like a ticket for entry to raids. That's it. And I think that's the shift is that, we're used to raids being zones of a game. Whether it's a dungeon, whether it's a location, whether it's a map bit. For this, raids will be ships rather than locations. which is really interesting. Which is kind of cool because it means that people who turn up in a Perseus or a, you know, in a Redeemer or whatever can play the same content. They're just not doing it at the same level of coordination as one of the big ships, so that's really cool. Yeah, yeah, bridge plot. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I have a pie cost bearing 250. What's a pie cost? About £3.50. Easy. Yeah. Sorry, that's going to make no sense to anyone other than Teapot, myself, and any other ex-Matlows in the chat. Everyone else is gonna be like, "What is he talking about?" But yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's good. It's good. The stock looks like an Nvidia promotion. It kind of does. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if it was that. But yeah, I'll wait for the Atlas racing variant with the roller skates. So Soriak, I would pay money to watch that. That would be great. He's gone off the deep end. Yeah, and I'm only halfway through my beer as well. I feel like I'm doing a really bad job of drinking this. But yeah, we'll get there in the end. So yeah. So we've had, yeah, a little bit to catch up on. And then, everything else has been kind of overtaken or people have kind of talked about it or whatever else. So it's been a little bit busy. I need to fix that because that's rubbish. I'm just going to try that again because that didn't work very well. Ignore the random clicking in the background. Why? There we go. Let's try that. Okay. So if I now go, no, that still didn't work, did it? That was rubbish. It was poop. It's fine. I'll fix it later. Whatever. Um, I painted ships grey. That was my service. Yeah, 100%. Plus is grey. I'm also looking forward to the Fat Fury, which should be coming soon. Yeah, one of the things I'm going to do towards the end of the year, because if you listen to what they actually said at CitizenCon, um, they said a couple of features were going to come in the next 12 months. They said everything that was going to be in, that was at CitizenCon should be in by the end of the year, minus a couple of things. The I'm going to do a video closer to that and have a look at what they promised, because I released one back then and I made a list of everything they said that was coming this year. And we'll just do a very quick comparison of this is what they said that we're going to get, what did we actually get. Because what's really interesting about this year, I suppose one of the other things we've got to talk about is the Pyro pushback. The fact that actually where we are, the fact that 3.24 became its own patch, but that it wasn't 3.23 straight into 4.0. We have had one patch this year. And okay, 3.24 is out now, isn't it? But we've effectively had one patch. 3.24 was going to be part of that patch. I think making it its own patch was a little bit cynical on CIG's part, because it just seemed like it was an excuse to it was an excuse to delay 4.0 further and make people feel like they were going to get more content anyway. It was contentful, but I don't know if you remember, all the way back then I said I don't see why you would put persistent hangers in before they had their final test of, does Chris Roberts want it released with this patch? Why would you announce it? That doesn't make any sense. But it's not huge. It's what? Personal instant hangers, freight elevators, which are all the same thing. It's cargo hauling, it's storage access, again, all the same thing. The blockade runner, which, by the way, when they announced blockade runner for the PTU, I'm really tempted to get a Friday night ops thing together so a bunch of us can go and do that. So keep an eye on the Discord. If you're not in, check the description, and then wait for me to give the community member tag so you can see the appropriate spaces. But yeah, we'll have a look at that kind of. We'll have a go at that, and maybe we'll do some recording. But primarily, we'll just go and have fun because that's the whole point, right? But yeah, we'll see if we can get some people together for that. And then obviously the ships and vehicles coming with that are the 2 Zeuses, the Peregrine's in. The Mark, the MR, is obviously waiting for later, and that I do not believe yet is in the next patch notes. I guess we could jump across to release view very quickly, couldn't we? So yeah, for 4.0, additional player customization, 19 locations, unsurprisingly, including a new or 2 new sets of caves, asteroid bases, which sounds great, the contested space stations, which sound great. Colonialist outposts, I feel like we've got those already, but I guess they're going into Pyro 2. Pyro as well, rather. That's confusing. We're getting the fauna, we're getting fire, location repair, engineering, life support, solar bursts, which is kind of cool, and then multi-tool updates, things like the cutting, batteries, which is really interesting because if you go to the tunnels in the distribution centers, a lot of the panels have the little tags on them that we saw get cut off all the way back then in that down satellite mission where they were cutting panels open. So it looks like the distribution center is already built for that, with access if you bring the right multi-tool. Charge drain. So being able to take... Drain takes power away from components that have been overloaded through distortion. Charge allows things to recharge quicker or, to perform better. And then the fire extinguishers. And then core tech. I mean, what a list of core tech. Server meshing, mission system refactor, and the transit system refactor. Static server meshing. Craziness. For that to work, hopefully. But yeah. Matthew's looking forward to the Mirai Guardian. Yeah, that thing. Yep, the Fat Fury. I think that's what people are calling it now. But yeah, 324 this year's 319. The former patch renamed to look like More Progress, Socially Confused as yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, that it's not great. Every team is a small team. I think most of the devs are still on Squadron 42 and are doing in the Discord. Are you doing the Discord? Awesome. Chaos, I'll add once this is all done because it's hidden somewhere. I will make sure that you get the community member role. Yeah, and then we can just all jump in when Blockade Runner happens because that'll be great. But yes, the pushback to Pyro. My key thing with not wanting Pyro pushed back was actually to do with CitizenCon. And if you've watched the video again, I'm sorry, I'm just rehashing what I said there. I don't want CitizenCon to be about Pyro. Have a little bit about what comes next. That was always going to happen, assuming that it was in. But all these big claims they've made about what was coming at CitizenCon happened before Pyro was pushed back. So if, when they made those claims, they intended to have Pyro in our hands over the summer, which means that whatever they're talking about wasn't about the release of Pyro. It was about something after, and that's another reason why I think we're getting this release date. But yeah, I think we've had too many years of Pyro being promised, says Chris. Yeah, 100%. It needs to just be here now. We need to look past it, maybe to more systems, maybe to something else entirely. But we need to... Pyro... They need to come at this from the thing that Pyro is done. Sure, if there's new things coming, if there's going to be base building in Pyro, whatever, great, show us that. Show us more on these space stations or whatever, because they were never in with the launch. They were going to be later on. Although now they are, I guess, because it's been delayed enough that they can be included. But show us what comes next, whether it's a new system or something else. I don't care. But yeah, Pyro, drink. Oh god, no, I'm not doing that again. That was... I ran out of alcohol playing that game, apart from a bottle of whiskey, and I am sorry, a 12-year-old bottle of Talisker is not to be necked under any circumstances. That's not happening. There's going to be a jungle planet, said Mad Body Chaos. Yeah, hopefully that'll be cool. Nix says Mad Body Chaos. Well, what's really interesting is, again, if it is Squadron 42, or even if not, the planets on Squadron 42, they might not be fully formed, they might not be Star Citizen ready, as in the PU ready, but they will have assets. What those planets look like, even if they've only done that for a small area, they'll have assets, which puts them years ahead of other areas they haven't started yet. So very quickly we could see things like the Vega system and that added, because there's nothing wrong with them just adding jump points that don't exist in the game, you know, in the final version, and going, oh, well, for the time being, we're going to connect you to the Odin system, the Nyx system, the Vega system. And then if you're that far out, maybe we get things like the Vandal as bad guys, even if it's just ships. That'd be cool, right? So yeah. With that new creature, you can make bacon and eggs with one animal. I could have gone my entire life without reading that comment. What the fuck? Oh dear, somebody clip that for the love of God. You're an animal. Stop it. Is it Odin as well? Yeah, it's a whole bunch of systems, I think. But yeah. I want the Tavaran to come back so we get more cool Tavaran ships. 100%. Yeah, that's rough. I don't know. Like, honestly, you've thrown me with that now. I just bacon and eggs. It's not bacon and eggs though, is it? Steak and eggs. Steak and eggs, not bacon and eggs. That's not a space pig. Beer and nose is unpleasant, says Chris. You're not wrong. I'm gonna need to settle my nerves with one of these now. Good lord. You're all monsters. But yeah, good stuff. So yeah, I mean, Pyro was going to be a pain in the ass from the start. It needs to be him. The key thing here is, of course, that the reason that this is being pushed back has nothing to do with the content, right? It's not because the system's not ready. It's not because they can't figure out what color to make the wormhole. You know, it's none of those things. This is literally server meshing, and that can break so many things, and it is going to break things, right? I think people need to prepare themselves for that. That at some point, server meshing is going to develop a fault that means we can't get into it, and the servers are basically unplayable for a couple of days, and people need to brace for that because they're putting in such core architecture. This would happen in a game's build sequence. And this stuff happens regularly. Someone puts something in, it completely breaks the game, it's not working as intended, but nobody notices because no one has access to games that early. We do. So we just need to kind of be prepared for it. Doesn't mean the project's failing. We just need to be braced. Pyro's been done for a while now, says Blamsmith, and Nick should be done too. So we have two systems waiting. Yeah, I haven't heard the comment about Nick's being done, but of course we've already got part of it because we had Levski. So yeah. I think you'll either be playing Pyro at CitizenCon or Squadron 42 first chapter. I'm hoping it's going to be a Squadron 42 vertical slice, Jadoma. To be honest, I'm going to do, when I do Pyro, it's going to be on here. I didn't do the test branch. I've not been to Pyro. I've not set foot in Pyro. And the way I want to get into Pyro is through the wormhole, through the jump point. That's the way I want to get into Pyro. I want to do it properly. And I'm going to record it. Because it's kind of historic, right? Making that first jump. Even though we saw that first jump happen in 2019, at the end of that show, the Carrack went through the wormhole into Pyro. You know. We'll see. Nyx is supposed to be empty as I understand it, so Levski is a huge part of it. Yeah, 100%. The classic, it will get worse before it gets better. Yeah, Syriac, and it's just going to keep doing that, right? This is where it is at Alpha. It's, you know, the whole idea of balance. They've got to do it because it's live service. But balance at this point is ludicrous. Because how do you balance when armor isn't even in? You know. Friday night stream, says Jadomi. Yeah, if I can get it working, the problem is I'm hoping to move soon-ish within the next few months. So there's contracts here that have much faster internet, But the problem is I don't know if they're going to be wherever I move, and I don't want to tie myself into that yet. So I'm just going to give it a couple of months. But it struggles to stream and to do the video and to do everything else. So I just need to be a little bit careful. I mean, maybe I'll take my picture off, my face off it. That's no bad thing. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see. Whatever it is, it will definitely be a video. So, yeah. 2019 demo is what got me finally to spend on the game package socially. Yeah, that was a really, really good CitizenCon, and the demo was great. You know, like the cloth tech when you pulled the when they pulled the tarpaulin off the rover, and they pulled the clothes off the thing. Even back then, there was bedsheet deformation tech in the form of clothes. But yeah, Blounsmith. At least with Sabre meshing in, they won't have that as an excuse for delaying designing gameplay. Yeah, and I think at the moment, of course, network coders don't design gameplay, but everything is riding on it right now. So everything, it's like, well, we need you to tell us how the server interacts with what we do, so we can make sure we're sending the server the right information for that sort of stuff. So even though, people will say, oh, well, the people that do the networking don't build the ships. No, they don't. But everything is built on that networking stuff. So everything is going to be affected by it. And it's going to be affected by it as they implement dynamic. The thing is, once they've got this in, the rush to do server meshing slows slightly, because now they can spin up more servers. What I really love about the idea of server meshing, I've said it before and I'll say it again, and I'll say it till I go blue in the face. The idea that you can have one landing zone on a server means that you could have, in effect, GTA 5, GTA 6 levels of fidelity in a landing zone in terms of where you can go. You could turn landing zones into Night City from Cyberpunk, right? You could just have everything explored because it's one server running that entire space. And yes, that's a load of extra work, and I'm talking past release well down the line to go and revamp these things, but that'd be cool, right? They need to feedback to operate the netcode magic. I'm okay with that, so Soriak. Yeah, absolutely. Starcloth, there will be a new cooler exclusive. Absolutely. It is an alpha. It says alpha when you buy it. It says alpha when you load it up. It says alpha repeatedly every time they make a video. Things change in alpha. The definition of an alpha changes slightly, but the core meaning of it doesn't, and it's not everything is in yet for them to even start building on the system. So yeah, I love the fidelity of Cyberpunk in SC. Says Socially Confused. That'll be cool. I mean, I not long stopped playing Cyberpunk because I only bought it this year, and without any of the bugs, that game's incredible. I absolutely love it. Thanks, Sherry, for turning me onto it, because yeah, I wouldn't have done that for a while, and I wouldn't have had that experience. So yeah, Matthew says, I really wish they'd start forming actual missions and rep stuff, since that's not really tech dependent. I mean, on the screen, right there, it says mission system refactor. Reworking the mission system for server meshing compatibility. So, I mean, yeah, it kind of does. But once that's done, you're entirely right. They need to start reworking it. And the missions start to need to feel a little bit more organic, I think, as opposed to, just being what they are at the minute. There needs to be a little bit more to them, a little bit more involvement, and a little bit more investment on our part. Feeling like we're actually achieving things with these missions, not just ticking up money and rep. That'd be nice, right? But yeah, it's been a hell of a catch up, isn't it? We've had a lot to talk about, but we're almost there. I mean, I'd really like to think, given the fact that we've had one patch this year, really, I don't count 324 as a patch. We've had one patch this year with a couple of points on it. That 4.0 won't just be the normal quarter 4 release. It won't be the pre-Christmas. I have a feeling it will be. but I'm hoping that it will be a little bit more involved and that, you know, that it will be a little bit earlier, that we'll actually be in Pyro over Christmas. That would be wonderful. And I'm hoping that, you know, we get a bit of a stab at that before Christmas, that it doesn't become an early next year thing, and then next year we can start on it. I really hope that we get Squadron 42 in a month. Yeah, I thought Elliot said that mission team was waiting on server meshing, because why do it now when it'll break? Yeah, that's my reading of it too, Social. 100%. Well, that's 2 hours, and I haven't struggled for what to say, apart from a little bit where my brain just went not braining and I kind of lost my train of thought. But other than that, I think we've done pretty well. And look, guys, you know, I spent a long time away and didn't really tell anyone why it was happening until right at the end. I just couldn't face, you know, dealing with it. I was getting hacked off with the game, and I've always said this is a hobby first, and something that, you know, I want to do, but I don't want it to break my enjoyment of the game, and that's where I was. So I paused. So the fact that you guys have come along and come back and been here, just thank you. It's awesome. And I look forward to seeing some of you at least at CitizenCon and buying you a drink. And for everyone else that didn't make it, your drink's waiting whenever you catch me. That'll be good. But yeah, looking forward to getting back into it. Looking forward to getting more content out your way. I am now doing what I can to get content out on a Friday or Saturday weekly. So bear with me. This week might be a little weird because I'm due up to Dover. We've got the small boat stuff that's happening in the UK. I don't know if you know much about what's going on here, but we've got a lot of basically migrants crossing the channel in boats. Because I work with the Coast Guard, I'm going to go up and take a look at that situation. But yeah, we'll get there in the end. So it might be a little bit disruptive, but I am trying to now get a video a week out until the end of the year. Also, if you haven't seen it, I did a video on the very, very cool some military stuff. I put a fleet together to go and do blockade runner. So that's called Fleet Builder. That's what that series is going to be called in the future. So go and take a look. It's somewhere on the channel. It's a couple videos ago. So go and take a look at that. You will really, really enjoy that. It'll be good. We take a look at a bunch of fleets. I take a look at 5-person, 10-person, and then like a crazy org level, everything's on the table fleet. So yeah, hopefully that will just, people will enjoy that. But I want that to become a series, but obviously that'll be dependent on its success. If people don't want to watch it, I'm not going to make it anymore. Yeah, it's been great to see you all. I'll probably be in the Discord for a little while, but the link to that's down in the channel, down and in the description, in the description. Go click it. I'll add you to the role once I'm out. Mad Wild, I'm going to sort you out in just a minute. Yeah, it's been great. You've been watching Drinkers with Gaming Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'll see you soon.
Freaking work called right as he's starting the show, and it's like, damn it. You got like 10 minutes? Yeah, 45 minutes later. Jeez. Hey, yeah, so I missed like the first 45 minutes. I'll have to go back and look. Frickin' work. Yeah. Damn it.
It's still coming through the stream, by the way, all the Discord chat.
Thanks a lot too, buddy.